Today's episode is all about defending the front kick. 5 different ways to deal with it, and we won't be including backing up because that's just too easy. We're going to talk about actual methods that I have used in my fights that I have found to be very effective, and having 1 or 2 solid front kick defenses is great, but it's better to have more so you can change things up if it's not working, if your normal defense is not working against certain opponents. So today, guys, 5 defenses for the front kick right after the intro. Defending the front kick. This is one of these things that always sort of confuses me. I see people really struggle with front kick defense, and for me it's always been something that's fairly simple. You see the kick lift, it extends out. Because of the distance, you have a lot of time overall, or at least compared to a punch, to deal with it. So I want to take you guys through my favorite defenses, and I'm sure at least one of them you will not have used that often, or it might be brand new to you. So guys, stick around, give the video a like if you have not already, join the channel and get subscribed, and let's move on to our first defense. Let's go to the most common defense, and that is very simply using the hand, same hand, to match the kicking leg. So if the left leg is coming, you'll use your left hand and we scoop down. It's a simple scoop. This for me is one of my favorite because the counter is so easy to set up. You bat the leg to the side and you can come with the low kick counter. But let's get a little bit more in depth to the details here. The very first thing I like to recognize when I execute this block is I need to make sure I pass my face. If I just come down like this and then come that direction, if the guy throws a front kick to the face, there's no way I'm going to be able to block it. But if I have my hands up here and I clear downwards, if the guy happens to throw up to my face, it's just going to bounce off my forearm. If he comes down to my body, then I can bat it to the side, and like we already talked about, I can follow with my low kick when his leg gets knocked to the side and he's exposed for that counter shot. You have to be very careful on this one that the hand you're not blocking with stays stapled to your head, because if a Brazilian kick comes up, you want to make sure this hand is ready for blocking. So you isolate it to just this one arm doing the work. It's a fast scoop all the way around, right back to your head, so you are ready for any punches or anything else that might follow up. If you can implement a little bit of footwork as you do it, just a little step back, it makes it that much easier, just because if the kick's going to land here and extend through, a little, especially on the lead leg, a little shuffle step back with the lead leg just takes you out of that impact zone and just gives you the ability to scoop the kick without fear of the foot still making contact with the stomach in a slight way. Now we're going to move on to point number 2, which is hollowing out the stomach, but this works very nicely with the scoop as well. But if you see a front kick coming and you realize, oh, okay, this guy's about to hit me, and you don't have time to move both feet back, what you can do is just move your front leg back a little bit and scoot your bum out. I just go like so. The funny looking little motion, but a lot of times a front kick is only going to go about 6 inches through your stomach. So if you can just suck back and end up here, it's a perfect defense for this front kick. But what are the dangers here? Well, number 1, you can see my chin is a little bit poking out. So if the guy comes up the middle with the high front kick and I'm here, it's a very bad position. So I want to make sure that I'm recognizing that if needed, my hands can come across and catch the kick if it ends up coming right up to my face. I like the hollowing out because it requires minimal amount of skills, and it can be done like that with minimal energy. You can be moving around and go, oh, he's throwing something, I can't execute anything else, just that. And a lot of times from there, after I hollow out, I'll either go with a low kick counter if the guy looks heavy, or I'll just completely exit after. This is one of those techniques that I think a lot of people forget that you can use because they're so focused on trying to do all the more advanced techniques. But hollowing out, a lot of times I say the more simple, the more likely you're going to be able to pull it off in a stressful situation, especially when you're tired. And just being able to pop the bum back and hollow out the stomach is a very easy way to extend minimal effort and avoid the kick. Next, I want to talk about catching the kick. And this is something that you will see time and time again, whether it's kickboxing, Muay Thai especially, or even MMA. Catching a front kick is great because when somebody throws a technique at you, if you can take control of that limb, very often now, once you control it, you're going to be able to either throw your own attack back or sweep them out and put them on their back. Now, catching a kick starts with the hollowing out that we already talked about. If the front kick comes and I just decide I'm going to stand my ground, and the kick comes and I'm just going to catch it, I take a whole lot of impact. So I want to be able to put that little hollow into action. And then from there, I always like to go lead hand down. Doesn't matter if I'm a southpaw, now I go lead hand down. I prefer left hand down for myself, and then I have right hand clear the face. Like we already talked about, if the kick comes up to head level, I don't want to make a mistake and go and grab down here. I want to clear my face, and then I catch it. Once I've caught the kick, I right away want to cinch up, get really tight, and I want to get it off the center line, because if I hold it here, there's a good chance once their kick is caught, they're just going to bend their knee, jump forward, and push you away. So after I've hollowed out, I've caught the kick, I cleared the face just to be safe, I'm now holding here, I move it off to the side. Now from here, my range of follow-ups are pretty much endless. I can sweep the guy, I can pull him in, throw him down, I can do this really fancy sweep where I put him on his back. That's like 3 of 10 follow-ups that I can do that are just on the tip of my tongue right now. There's probably many more. But what you can do, if you want to practice, is start implementing in your shadow boxing or even your bag work. You know, you're moving away and you go, oh, the guy's front kicking. And you go here and then right away pull off to the side. That initial part of the front kick defense needs to be done super fast. After that, you can pause, slow up, and then move to the second part, but we're not going to cover that today. Once again, right from the beginning, I'm throwing my shots, I see the kick coming, I hollow out, a catch, lead hand low, off to the side, and now I have a few moments to just decide what the best follow-up is going to be now to inflict some damage. Moving on, guys, to our next front kick defense. This is number 4. We're talking about creating a barrier between our stomach and the front kick. Now, a lot of times when I throw front kicks at people, their barrier is just trying to do that. But there are so many problems with doing this. I don't need to get into them all. You guys can probably figure out what they are. But yeah, putting up a double guard and hoping that you're not going to get kicked in the face or the foot's going to sneak through, you're going to get knocked back. Like, the list just goes on and on. It's a fine last resort, but it's not something I want to talk about. But there is a good barrier, which makes a lot of sense. And that is connecting my knee to my elbow. I could go cross, where I go left knee to right elbow, or I can just lift up and go like so, where I use these 2 front limbs to just come right down the middle. If I come here, it's going to hit me in the stomach, the front kick. If I come too far, he's going to kick me in my hip and knock me back. The reason this one works is, let's say I'm kicking towards Bob here. The reason it works is it's basically jamming the guy up to a certain extent. If I throw my front kick on Bob, and I'm right there, and that's a perfect distance for me, all of a sudden my kick is going to get jammed about here, which means it's not going to have the normal force, because it's like throwing a punch. If I can land here, that's great. As soon as I get in here, I get a little bit jammed up. It's not going to have the same power. So when I see this kick coming, I right away just lift my knee and I jam up. It could be shin that gets hit, it could be the knee, or it could even be the forearm. But either way, it's going to really mess this guy's front kick up, even though to a certain extent it is still landing, whereas on the other ones we're moving it or we're catching it. But I still like this one. I just lift, and the guy, a lot of times, especially if they're a beginner, they'll jam their toes right into my shin. If they're not a beginner, it doesn't really matter. The only downside of this is you need to have good balance on one foot, because if they do happen to have some power and you get knocked backwards, you want to be able to jump and take a little flamingo step backwards, where you're on one foot, you go block and you go, oh, okay, he moved me back. But it's still very effective. And the reason I like this one as well is it does a great defense for the spinning side kick. Somebody throws a front kick, spinning side kick, even a side kick. This is just a one-stop shop for all defenses, anything coming straight down the middle. And the major details we're looking for is no space. We don't want to leave any space between. We have to close up that gap a little bit. We have to make sure we bring our leg right across the center, only slightly, not too far. If we're lucky and we go here, his front kick will actually come on either side and just kind of deflect off. But if he lands it correctly, it's going to go right against the knee. I'll be blocking right there just in case it's a front kick. Could be this way as well. And I just need to make sure that I'm stable on this leg and I'm ready to move backwards. If I stand here and when I get front kicked, I go, no, I won't move back. Then you're just going to go, uh-oh, and you're going to fall. So you have to be ready to stand your ground. See how I drop my upper weight just a little bit forward, and then if I do move backwards, I'm a little more balanced. And guys, the last front kick defense that I like to work, and this is the most advanced by far, is catching an angle. So if I see a front kick, let's say off the right leg, so I was going this direction towards you guys, somebody's front kicking with their right leg, which means when the kick comes up, me stepping to this side is going to put me to the outside of their leg. Whereas if you guys step that way right now, when I front kick, you're going to end up on the outside. That's what we want. We want to move to the outside where it's hard for me to follow up. So what I do is I take my back leg and I angle off. Now, the arm positioning, there's a number of options. You can just bat away with your elbow. This is much more advanced and much more risky for a Brazilian kick, but what I like to do is I like to use my bicep. I'll come like this, use my shoulder to protect my chin, but there is a massive risk of that Brazilian kick coming. I only do that because I'm able to recognize midway through if there's a change that I'll have to adjust and bring this arm across. But if somebody has super amount of power, they're coming up and they're going woof, and you're thinking every time they kick me, it's too hard to catch the kick, it's too hard to scoop, it's too hard to block, like every time I do it, there's just so much force, then you just want to get out of the way. And sometimes just taking an angle, just batting it to the side, or knocking it to the side with your bicep is perfect. I have utilized this in fights for real. It 100% works. Although you don't see it that often, but it's definitely worth adding into your repertoire of front kick defenses. One major point for this one is after catching that angle, we want to make sure at the same time our arm's working, but we want to keep our head really high. We really want to make sure we don't drop. Dropping our weight down is going to put us even closer to a possible front kick or maybe even a follow-up punch. So I have to make sure my head stays really high, my shoulder comes really tight, like almost up to ear level as I do this. With my head down and my shoulder up, I do create a nice barrier, and then from there I can work just that little angle with the foot, opening up the body sideways to let the kick pass through, and at the same time I might as well knock it off to the side. I've used this defense hundreds of times in sparring. It works so well, it always throws off the attacker's balance. And in my experience, once people get their kick knocked to the side and end up like that, they don't follow up. There's no follow-up for them. They end up having to readjust. And after you do this to them 2 or 3 times, they seem to stop throwing the front kick. Well, there you have it, guys. 5 defenses to the front kick. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something and that you're able to go to the gym or practice right now even and start implementing 1 or 2 of these new front kick defenses into your repertoire. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel and get subscribed. Train hard, guys. I'll see you back here soon for another video.